What if the world's most pathetic coward awakened the most broken ability in existence? Meet Bong Joon-hak, a 25-year-old professional failure with zero confidence, zero skills, and a mountain of debt from loan sharks. He spent his entire life avoiding danger, injustice, and basically anything that requires a backbone. The kind of guy who needs his wife to handle cockroaches. Then one day, everything changes. In a dingy alleyway of Seoul's forgotten districts, two men sat idly against graffiti-stained walls. One of them spat carelessly onto the cracked pavement. Walking past this scene was Bong Joon-hak, a young man whose shoulders carried the invisible weight of crushing debt and broken dreams. His neighborhood was perpetually loud, the streets always filthy, and the air thick with the smell of exhaust and decay. This was his reality, day after grinding day. His destination was a cramped 5-pyong rooftop apartment, barely large enough to stretch his arms. Tonight's dinner, like every night, would be instant ramen. The reason Bong Joon worked himself to exhaustion yet never saved a won was simple. 10 million won borrowed from loan sharks. The money had gone to his father's emergency surgery and his younger brother's college tuition. As he slurped his cheap noodles, contemplating his lack of skills and bleak future, reality shattered. A translucent blue screen materialized before his face, bathing him in ethereal light. His eyes widened in shock, noodles dangling comically from his mouth. The surprise was so profound that he spat out his food, spraying it across his already cluttered floor. An awakening? He whispered, hardly believing it. Awakenings were blessings that could transform someone's life completely, but only if you survived long enough to benefit from them. The dark towers that had appeared 20 years ago offered incredible opportunities: power, wealth, fame. But they also offered death in countless horrifying forms. Monsters could tear you apart. Environments could freeze or incinerate you. Poisons could dissolve your organs, and traps could crush you flat. For Bong Joon, who had spent 25 years avoiding confrontation and danger, the tower represented his worst nightmare. Maybe I just dozed off, he muttered, hoping exhaustion had caused a hallucination. But he needed to know for certain. With trembling hands, he called out, "Status window!" The screen responded immediately, displaying glowing text. Name, Bong Joon-hak. Level, 1. Affiliation, black. Trait, max level summoning. It was real. He had actually awakened, his eyes fixed on his trait, max level summoning. Every awakened person received a unique ability. Some gained sword mastery, others shield manipulation or healing. Summoners could call forth spirits, beasts, or other entities to fight on their behalf. Curious about his abilities, Bong Joon spotted a skill called random summon. It seemed straightforward enough. He held out his hand dramatically. Random summon. Nothing happened. He stood there, awkwardly, arm extended, before reality struck him. Oh, right. You can't use abilities outside the tower. It was common knowledge. Player abilities only worked inside the towers. Outside, awakened individuals were functionally normal humans. "I'm such an idiot," he groaned, scratching his head in embarrassment. But then something impossible occurred. A notification appeared. Random summon, initiated. Bong Joon's eyes began glowing with intense blue light. An enormous purple magic circle materialized before his door, its intricate patterns spinning with power. From within that portal, a figure emerged, a man with distinctive reddish hair. "Why did my skill work outside the tower?" Bong Joon gasped. "And it summoned a person?" The summoned individual sniffed the air, his expression suddenly excited. "Is that ramen? May I have a taste?" Bong Joon watched in bewilderment as his first summon called forth through mysterious powers immediately devoured his noodles with enthusiastic speed, finishing the entire bowl in seconds before complaining it was too spicy, despite being the mildest flavor available. Checking his status screen, Bong Joon discovered he could summon humans of various ranks, like a gacha game. A notification revealed 3 governing principles. Summons must protect their summoner, must obey commands, and protection takes priority above all other orders. The summon's profile appeared. Name, John Corsack. Rank, SR, super rare. Class, assassin. Suddenly, information flooded Bong Joon's mind, triggering visions of Corsack's past, fighting through hordes of enemies, creating grotesque gifts with red ribbons that earned him his reputation as a psychopath, and his final mission being defeated by the Empire's strongest swordmaster. Back in reality, Corsack appeared right in Bong Joon's face, causing him to fall backward in shock. Remembering the absolute obedience rule, Bong Joon tested it by ordering Corsack to clean up and make dog sounds. The assassin complied perfectly, even acting like an enthusiastic puppy without hesitation. Violent pounding interrupted them. Bong Joon's loan sharks had arrived. 10 million won borrowed from loan sharks. The money had gone to his father's emergency surgery and his younger brother's college tuition. Despite paying $5 million in interest, the principal remained untouched, a mathematical trap designed to keep him enslaved forever. Angry about missed interest payments, he frantically ordered Korsak to hide in the bathroom. The enforcers grabbed him threateningly, suggesting he could sell organs or even his brother if money got tight. Rage flashed across Bongju's face before he forced a submissive smile. After they left, Korsak emerged. Exhausted by the day's events, Bongju questioned whether he really needed to climb the tower. Money was tempting, but was it worth the risk? When asked, Korsak offered to be dismissed, but shyly requested to watch television first. As Bongju fell asleep, the assassin stood guard, watching dramas and contemplating his new purpose. The next morning, Bongju woke to find Korsak gone. His 6-hour manifestation period had ended. The television was still on, playing the morning news. What he heard made his blood turn to ice. 3 victims, discovered at Smile Cash Loan Shark Agency, all decapitated, heads decorated with red ribbons. Bongju recognized the Loan Shark Agency's name immediately. The red ribbons confirmed this was Korsak's work, matching the grotesque gifts from his vision. The whole comforting idea was a joke, Bongju realized in horror. I summoned a psycho killer. At the convenience store where he worked, someone called his name from behind. He turned and hallucinated the headless loan shark, asking about his unpaid tab, other severed heads lining the shelves like products. The terror was so intense that he screamed, knocked over displays. The impact snapped him back to reality. When he looked forward again, he saw a normal female customer standing in front of him. She looked concerned and asked if he was okay. Realizing everything had been a hallucination, Jauk felt extremely embarrassed. He blushed heavily and kept apologizing to the customer. Walking home after work, his mind was filled with anxiety. He realized that in his current mental state, he could not function properly at any job. Because of this, he decided to take a break from all part-time work starting the next day. Returning home, Bongju tried to calm down. The status window confirmed Korsak couldn't hurt him, but that was little comfort. When a satisfaction rating screen appeared before summoning, he angrily wanted to give 1 star for disobedience, but remembered his mother's suffering from low customer ratings. He settled on 3 stars. Korsak appeared with enthusiastic loyalty, thanking him for the 3 stars. Without hesitation, Bongju asked directly, "Did you kill those loan sharks?" "Yes, of course," Korsak confirmed cheerfully. "I eliminated the threat before dismissal. They endangered you, so I dealt with them." That the person standing before him was a murderer. His stomach churned, and his heart began pounding violently. Jaok reminded himself that since he was the summoner, Kasak could not harm him. Despite his fear, he tried to calm himself. He then asked how Kasak had managed to find the loan shark's office. Since Kasak should not have known the location, Kasak explained that when those people came to Jayuk, he had placed the mark of pursuit on them. This functioned like a tracking system, allowing him to locate them easily. Jahuk was stunned by this revelation. He could not believe that Kasak was capable of such advanced actions while remaining hidden in the bathroom. Jok then asked why Kasak had gone so far. Kasak explained that they were considered threat factors, and that eliminating them in advance was the best solution. Jok pointed out that he never gave any command to kill them. Kasak reminded him of the summon's 3 laws, specifically Article 3. Jok was deeply shocked. Kasak reminded him of all 3 laws. The first law prioritized protecting the summoner's life above all else. The second law required absolute obedience to the summoner's orders. The third law stated that if the first and second laws conflicted, the first law would always take priority. Kasak simplified the explanation by stating that obedience was absolute. But any situation threatening the summoner could not be ignored. He provided an example where a summoner ordering the summoned to kill the summoner himself would be impossible. "You're a psycho," Bongju stated bluntly. "Yes, I'm quite accustomed to hearing that," Korsak replied without offense. Bongju understood the twisted logic, but realized the terrifying implications. If he bumped into someone on the street who made an empty threat, Korsak might interpret it as danger requiring elimination. The result would be another gift-wrapped head. "This needs to stop," Bongju said firmly. He commanded Korsak to never act independently unless facing immediate, direct, undeniable danger to his life. Verbal threats wouldn't count. Korsak knelt in apology and promised to judge situations very carefully. Before dismissing him, Korsak asked an unexpected question. "Why haven't you decided to climb the tower yet?" The question hit hard. Bongju felt ashamed of his cowardice. When he asked if Korsak had served other summoners, the assassin confirmed he had. But then Korsak surprised him. "You are the best summoner I've ever served. A summoner's greatest virtue is valuing safety. My previous summoner was brave, recklessly brave. His bravery got him killed, and when a summoner dies, their summons become trapped forever. Please continue being cautious. Let me handle all dangerous work. Just live well and stay safe. The next morning, Bongju woke feeling drained. He decided to forget the tower and just live safely. His debt was gone anyway. But then, his father called with devastating news. Bongju's mother had been laid off from her job. Without her income, the family would struggle with his father's medical expenses and his brother's tuition. After a long silence, processing everything, Bongju made his decision. I'm going to enter the tower. He told himself it would just be a quick look. If too dangerous, he'd retreat immediately. Before entering, he tried random summon, hoping for a legendary rank ally to replace Corsac. But the cooldown hadn't finished, 28 days remaining. With no other option, he summoned Corsac, who thanked him for the 5 stars and called him brave for deciding to enter. Corsac immediately threw away Bongju's work tools, declaring he'd be his hunting dog. Before Bongju could protest, Corsac accepted the tower entry prompt without permission. They were yanked into a high-speed digital tunnel, and Bongju screamed in despair as nausea overwhelmed him during the disorienting journey. They materialized in a vast desert, the tower's first floor. After recovering from motion sickness, Bongju felt his enhanced physical capabilities. The mission appeared: defeat 5 tough-skinned larvae in 2 hours. Research indicated average players needed 30 minutes per larva. Feeling newfound courage, Bongju decided to try catching one himself. But when the larva stood and revealed its grotesque form, a writhing mass with sickly green glow, his courage evaporated instantly. Mr. Corsac, please help! The assassin moved with impossible speed, obliterating the larva in 1 strike. He proceeded to eliminate all 5 targets with absurd ease, using energy blades and explosion techniques. The mission was completed in under 5 minutes. Bongju earned an S+ rank, a rating he didn't even know existed. What Bongju didn't know was that his achievement had triggered alerts across South Korea's entire player network. A mysterious S-rank climber had been born, and everyone wanted to know who they were. Back in his apartment, Bongju examined his rewards: a magic stone worth 50,000 won and a mysterious platinum emblem. As Corsac happily watched television, Bongju realized the tower wasn't as terrifying as he'd imagined, at least, not with an SR rank assassin handling everything. To celebrate, he ordered real food, and they ate together while chatting about Corsac's previous summoner. For the first time in years, Bongju felt something he hadn't experienced before: hope. The next morning, Bongju woke with newfound determination. He decided to restructure his life, focus on the tower during the day, sell rewards for income, and build toward a better future. He tested Corsac's obedience again and learned that satisfaction ratings provided increased benefits like longer manifestation time and stat boosts. They entered floor 2, which required defeating 10 fast-moving larvae. Corsac promised to finish in 3 minutes if Bongju would order chicken for dinner. True to his word, the assassin completed the mission in under 3 minutes, announced another S++ clear. A level up 300 grams of magic stone and another platinum badge. Soon after, the 4th floor was cleared with ease. Then the 5th floor followed just as smoothly. Juk celebrated with Kasak, sharing a high five in victory. Finally, a new notification appeared. The system announced that 5 S+ platinum badges had been collected. A special perk was awarded for accumulating them. Seeing the word special perk for the first time, Jauk was shocked. The perk was revealed as awakening trait enhancement, excitement, as he realized how manageable the tower had become. Upon reaching level 6, Bongju discovered he could now summon 2 entities simultaneously. The possibilities excited him, though random summon remained on cooldown for over 20 days. For now, he and Corsac would continue their 2-person operation. Meanwhile, at the Awaken Administration, tension was extreme. Inside the Awakener Management Administration building, several key figures are introduced. Among them is John Gwang-gil, the team leader of the Awakener Management Administration. Every time a floor is cleared, an announcement rings inside their office. Gwang-gil waits with a tense expression, thinking deeply. He wonders when it will ring today. He considers whether it will happen in the morning, the evening, or even late at night. At that moment, another figure appears. Lee Mina, the deputy director of the Awakener Management Administration, steps closer. She interrupts his thoughts by asking if he is thinking about the announcement again. Her behavior irritates Gwang-gil. He raises his voice and tells her not to guess what others are thinking. Mina admits that she cannot control her curiosity. Gwang-gil then becomes serious and asks if a new announcement has gone up. Mina confirms that it has. She reports that the Black Tower of Korea has recorded an S+ rank clear on the 6th floor. Hearing this, Gwang-gil is shocked internally. He realizes that global announcements from the Black Tower have been ringing repeatedly lately. Every single one contains news of an S++ rank clear. He becomes convinced that it is the work of a single person, Floors 1 through 5 were cleared in order. Without a doubt, this person possesses unprecedented and overwhelming talent. He begins wondering what will happen if the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th floors are also cleared. Director Park Yong-soo slammed his hand on the table. This changes everything! Korea's previous record was only A rank, and we didn't even know there was a higher rank. Other countries may try to steal this player. Floor. Kasak is shown happily washing dishes, humming with satisfaction. He confidently assures Juak that everything will be fine. It becomes clear that they have been clearing 1 floor per day without any difficulty, because both of them entering a forest on the 8th floor. Kasak walks ahead. The 8th floor mission appears, requiring the defeat of 10 Red Thorn Frog Warriors. All the Frog Warriors immediately launch an attack. Kasak pulls out his dagger. One by one, he cuts them down effortlessly. A reward notification appears instantly. The 8th floor mission has been successfully completed. Kasak cheerfully praises Juak for his good work. Juak, still unaccustomed to portal rides, begins to develop a headache. Kasak explains that the hardest part is entering the floor itself. Juak thanks him sincerely, acknowledging that everything has been easy because of him. Kasak warns him not to let his guard down, explaining that things will not remain easy after the later 10th floors. Hearing this, Juak decides internally that he wants to give Kasak a gift for all his hard work. He pulls out some cash from his bag, but the assassin refused, preferring to stay and watch television. They ordered chicken instead, and Bongju gave him a healing potion as thanks. He receives 800 grams of magic stones. He also obtains 5 tower exclusive healing potions. By floor 9, Bongju had earned 1.8 million won and was considering quitting his part-time job entirely. A system message appears, stating that John Kasic's satisfaction rating has been set to 5 points due to continued accumulation of top ratings. His manifestation time increases by 1 hour. Kasak responds with overflowing happiness, striking a cute idol-like heart pose. System notifications flood in. They have entered the Black Tower of Korea's 10th floor. Floor 10, Bongju felt power surging within him, like an untamed wild horse straining to be released. He announced his intention to help in battles, but Korsak protested, prioritizing his master's safety. When a massive praying mantis appeared, both Juak and Kasik looked tiny. Ju cannot believe that the 10th floor monster is this massive. He wonders how other players ever managed to kill something like this. Sending only 2 people to kill mere insects feels like a blow to human pride. Kasak begins responding, but Juak cuts him off, insisting that his pride truly does hurt. The monster focuses its massive eyes on them. Juak cheers Kasak on desperately, urging him to fight. The monster swings its arm toward Kasak, but he dodges instantly. He grips daggers in both hands. His expression turns deadly serious. In moments, the monster is shredded into countless pieces. It is defeated on the spot. A reward notification appears. The 10th floor mission has been successfully completed. Ju-yuk levels up. He receives 1 kilogram of magic stones. An S+ rank clear announcement is triggered. Another platinum badge is awarded. May now be challenged and that they are exiting the tower. A new system message appears announcing a perk granted upon accumulating 10 platinum badges. Juak becomes extremely excited. However, he is confused as he does not know what the perk does. The system immediately explains it. The perk allows the user to copy 1 skill possessed by a summoned entity. A list appears, including Blade Explosion, Shock Break, Vile Ambush, Poison Dagger, Shadow Step, Disruption, Stealth, Invisibility, Polymorph, and more. Ju realizes that such a thing is even possible. He is learning this for the first time. Kasik calls out to him and firmly states that Shadow Step is the correct choice. Ju becomes confused. Kasak explains that if the chance to copy a skill appears, there is no need to think. Shadow Step must be chosen. When Juyak asks why, Kasak explains that it is convenient for running away. If something happens to him, Juak will be able to move quickly and quietly. Hearing this makes Juyak feel slightly sad. He wonders what Kasak truly thinks of him. Would he abandon everyone just to survive? He realizes that this is not the case. At that moment, a system message appears. The skill Shadow Step has been acquired and registered in the status window. Juak thinks seriously about how important fast footwork is in combat. He recalls that footwork is said to be the life of a fight, Flash Shep footwork in his garden. Inside the room, Kasak relaxes while watching a drama. After practicing for some time, Juyak becomes exhausted and collapses on the floor. He mutters that if summoning is possible in the real world, this should have worked too. But nothing happens. Whether or not he understands, Kasak agrees with everything his summoner says. On the 11th day, Bongju called the Awakened administration to sell magic stones. What he didn't know was that his call triggered immediate action. Vice Director Lee Min-ha and team leader Jang Kwang-il were dispatched immediately, hoping this might be their mysterious S-rank player. Bongju frantically cleaned his apartment before they arrived. When he opened the door, Lee Min-ha immediately got uncomfortably close to his face and declared, "You're the S-rank player." Bongju's panic denial was so obviously false that even he knew it. They apologized for the aggressive towers and invited viewers to learn about the tower by following along. With a theatrical flourish, Tabby revealed an ominous shape, pitch black like the night, and so massive that even the tallest building on Earth could not compare. This structure was the Black Tower. Tabby explained that black towers appeared all over the world overnight, 20 years ago. No one could approach them due to an invisible barrier that made physical contact impossible. The true nature of the tower was revealed only when players appeared. The tower functioned like a game where climbers ascended one floor at a time. Outside the tower, players were ordinary people, but inside they wielded powerful abilities and skills. Using rewards obtained from the tower, players upgraded their gear and contributed massively to the global economy. Followed, announcing that the tower collapse countdown had been activated and that the countdown would stop only if an uncleared upper floor was conquered. TB continued explaining that if no new higher floor was cleared within 6 months, the countdown would begin and eventually the tower would collapse. Another notice appeared stating that the Black Tower in the country was collapsing, followed by a grim revelation that 3 years ago, this was exactly how the Indian city of Mumbai disappeared. Tabby then shifted focus to the situation in South Korea, explaining that each nation possessed between 1 and 3 Black Towers and that South Korea had only one. This tower was located deep in the mountains of Gangan province. To be stated that the number of players in Korea was estimated to be between 5,000 and 10,000, amounting to only about 0.01 to 0.02% of the population. Currently reaching floor 65, the second highest record in the world after America's floor 66, Tabby reassured everyone that society had its heroes in the form of players. Comparing modern humanity's exploration of the tower to humanity's past exploration of new continents, Tabby addressed awakened individuals directly, calling them the hope of this era and encouraging them to register as official players to become heroes themselves. The narration ended, and Kwang-il informed Juach that the mandatory viewing material was complete. Ju internally cringed at what he thought was propaganda, disguised as a TED Talk. Kwang-il then stated that they would ask a few questions to verify details and directly asked whether Bong Juach was truly awakened. Juach confirmed that he had entered the tower and completed some clears, mentioning the magic crystals he had collected. Kwang-il said that this would make things easy and asked which floor Juach had reached. Ju replied that he was on floor 10. Kwang-il and Mina exchanged side glances, both wondering if he could be the same person responsible for the S++ record. Mina asked whether Juach had heard about the global notices that were currently a hot topic. Juach reminded himself to stay natural, but once again spoke stiffly, acknowledging the S+ grade clears and awkwardly praising the unknown player as amazing. Kwang-il told him not to be so tense. Juach wondered if his behavior was simply excessive nervousness, though it looked highly suspicious. His body visibly twitched. Kwang-il moved on to explain the contract options. He stated that the government divided players into 2 tracks. The first was the elite climbing team, which comprised 69% of climbers. The second was the general climbing team, where players planned and ran their own climbing schedules. Similar to a freelance lifestyle, the elite team worked closely with the government's awakened management agency, had obligations to climb higher floors, and received various benefits, including personal protection outside the tower. He explained that outside the tower, players were no different from normal people. Joining the elite team also came with a base annual salary. Ju Yuk internally panicked, thinking that if it was revealed he was the S+ record holder, he would become a celebrity surrounded by reporters, which was the last thing he wanted. When asked about applying for the elite exam, he bluntly declined. Mina internally noted this as another miss, observing that while many players stopped climbing to farm safely, it was rare to see someone reject the elite path so directly during screening. She judged him as a coward, unfit for the elite team, believing that even if he volunteered, he was exactly the type they must never accept due to lacking the necessary will. Kwang-il respected Ju and asked him to enter the tower as the final step to confirm his awakening. Juk agreed. Kwang-il commented that it would be a waste to throw away his one daily entry and suggested doing a clear while inside, mentioning that most people did so anyway. Ju hesitated, sensing continued probing to confirm whether he was the S+ clearer. He agreed to clear a floor, but warned that he usually used almost the entire time limit and that it could take close to 2 hours. Mina said that was fine, since it was their job, and told him to take his time. Ju casually told them to watch TV until he returned. Then he disappeared. Back in the room, Guangil asked Mina whether she thought Ju was truly awakened. Mina said she was unsure, but described his behavior as timid and predicted he would give up on floor 11. She explained that she had cleared it herself and that floors 11 to 15 tested a player's fear. Guangil mentioned the long-tailed burrow centipedes. Mina confirmed and explained that while they were not difficult to defeat, they were disgusting and required killing 100 of them. Guangil added that their appearance alone made them horrifying. Mina doubted that someone so scared could complete it and was confident he would retreat to the safe zone and abandon the mission. Guangil acknowledged that her guesses had been accurate so far and decided to call the director, informing him that this case was another dead end. Inside the tower, Ju summoned Kasak. Kasak saluted and thanked him for calling. A system window displayed the floor 11 mission requiring the defeat of 100 long-tailed burrow centipedes. Within 3 hours, with failure conditions being death or abandonment, Juash groaned in frustration at the thought of centipedes, especially 100 of them. Kasak confidently stated he would handle it quickly. Juash noted that 100 centipedes would normally take 5 minutes, but ordered Kasak to hunt as slowly as possible and take at least an hour so that no S+ clear record would appear. He admitted that eyes were watching from outside and declared that he would even cancel the summon inside the tower that day. Kasak gave a thumbs up and said he understood the intention. Juash smirked internally, thinking that simply entering the tower should have been proof enough, but now he had agreed to a clear and plan to break out of the S+ encirclement with a messy record. Kasak began cutting down centipedes, one after another. Juyuk thought things. Bongju climbed atop a dead centipede to watch from a safe spot and suddenly found himself surrounded by enemies. His body froze in fear. Unable to move, Korsak immediately realized the danger and rushed to help, destroying all the centipedes with a fury-fueled energy attack. When Bongju yelled at him for going too fast and ruining the plan, Korsak refused to slow down. "Your life is the highest priority, Master." They completed the floor with another S+ rank in just 5 minutes. When they returned to the apartment, the notification appeared at the exact moment Bongju materialized, leaving both agents speechless. They finally understood the truth. Bongju sighed, realizing his secret was out. He declared that the two of them would have to be silenced. Kasak stepped forward, ready to strike. Juyak gave a command to Kasak to tie up Mina and Guangil. Instead of restraining them, Kasak immediately cut off their heads. Juyak froze in shock and screamed internally, asking whether he had ever ordered Kasak to chop off their heads. Panicking, Juyak apologized to Mina and Guangil. Suddenly, the scene shattered. Juyak gasped sharply, realizing that everything he had just witnessed was imagination. Mina and Guangil noticed his condition and asked if he was okay, pointing out that he had suddenly broken out in a cold sweat. Juak apologized and said it was nothing. Inside his mind, he admitted that he must have been becoming paranoid without realizing it. Guangil continued the conversation and explained once again that the elite team absolutely needed talent like player Bong. Ju reacted awkwardly and said the situation felt uncomfortable. Zhang changed the subject and presented a contract. Not the general one Bongju requested, but an ultra-elite contract. 12 billion won annual salary, guaranteed housing, maximum security, and legal immunity. The nation will give you everything. But Bongju refused vehemently. "I hate receiving attention. When people recognize me, I become overwhelmed and stressed. I can't even return to restaurants where the owner knows my face. I just want to live a little better, not carry everyone's expectations." They agreed to a standard contract, though the administration remained baffled. Back at headquarters, Director Park was furious about the report. His agent confirmed the player was legitimate, but explained he's one of the shyest people I've ever met. The director ordered them to bring him onto the elite team regardless. Furious as he confronted Kasak, complaining that despite explicitly forbidding it, everything had still been exposed. Kasak apologized. Juak warned him that if he disobeyed again, he would receive nothing and would be unsummoned immediately. Kasak apologized again and acknowledged the command. A system window appeared announcing entry into the 12th floor of the Black Tower of South Korea. The mission required defeating 20 ice-icicle spear weasels within 3 hours, ordering Korsak to fight slowly to make the administration lose interest. But when Bongju started shivering from the freezing cold, Korsak immediately abandoned the order and rushed to finish quickly. "The common cold is an incurable disease. My master is in danger." Despite Bongju's protests about obedience, they achieved another S+ rank. Guang-il called him in disbelief and asked whether he had just completed the 12th floor. Juyuk confirmed it and added that the 13th floor might be difficult. Kasak casually suggested watching TV. Bongju coldly dismissed Korsak. grumbling that there's no reward for disobedience. Floor 13 featured deadly axe traps, and Corsac carried his master through them safely. Floor 14 was filled with bats, handled easily. Later, Juyak checked his deposits. He saw the Magic Stone sale proceeds listed as 2.75 million won. After a 35% deduction, the standard player support fund amounted to 2 million won. The Magic Stones from floors 11 to 14 weighed 5 kilograms, worth up to 2.5 million won. Guy realized that he had earned over 10 million won in just 14 days. He calculated that if he reached the 20th floor without trouble, the Magic Stone reward alone would weigh at least 2 kilograms. If the agency handled the sale, it would mean 1 million won per day, with no fees and no taxes. A pure daily wage of 1 million won. Juyak summoned Kasak again. Kasak knelt and apologized deeply, acknowledging the grave crime of disobeying orders and committing insubordination. He admitted he did not know where to put himself. From the 15th floor onward, he asked to clear comfortably. Juak agreed and stated that he would no longer tell him to go slowly. Juak acknowledged that the agency already knew everything anyway. In his thoughts, he calculated that if the 15th floor was also an S+ clear, he would have 15 platinum badges. That meant a high chance of receiving another perk. He admitted that he was starting to get greedy, believing that the more perks he stacked, the safer he would become. Juash declared their departure and they entered the 15th floor. Goblins appeared and it was Juach's first time seeing them. Kasak told him to hide carefully. Using his stealth skill, Kasak silently slaughtered every goblin on the floor. Juyak watched in shock, finding the scene completely insane. They returned home. Juyak immediately checked his inventory and saw that he had obtained 15 silver badges. His heart raced as he realized the condition had been triggered. Received his 15th platinum emblem, unlocking another benefit, an energy shield kit that absorbed damage and worked, even outside the tower. He could now use this shield in the real world for protection. Bongju asked if they could maintain S+ ranks going forward. Corsac said it was possible, but couldn't guarantee top scores anymore. The difficulty was increasing significantly. Meanwhile, at the administration, the director fumed about the mysterious player being stuck on floor 15 for 15 days. But then they received news. The player was coming to use the shop. The director had an epiphany. He was farming funds to buy equipment since he had no gear. Realizing their mistake, he ordered his staff to give the player a 50% discount on everything. 15 days earlier, a flashback showed Corsac panicking after hearing Jock's order. Jock lifts his t-shirt and instructs Corsac to stab him in the stomach. Corsac reacts intensely, declaring that if Jock dislikes him, he would rather be killed outright, but he himself cannot bring himself to stab Jock. Jock explains that he only asked Corsac to stab him lightly and never told him to kill him. He clarifies that he is doing this solely to test the energy shield. Corsac shakes his head and responds that he cannot hear anything anymore and is no longer in a state to listen. At that moment, Jouk grabs the dagger from Corsac's hand and stabs himself, shocking Corsac completely. It is revealed that Jouk stabbed himself without activating the energy shield. Corsac immediately starts screaming, and Jouk tells him to calm down for a moment. On the other hand, Jouk quickly applies a healing potion to his stomach and heals the stab wound. After this, Corsac begs him not to repeat such an action again. Juk agrees and then asks Corsac to finish the hunt. Corsac agrees to this as well and climbs up some trees where many goblins are present. He begins killing them one by one. While watching Corsac finish them off, Jaok moves behind the bushes and decides that while Corsac clears the floor, he will practice his own skills there. He then activates his energy power and uses Shadow Step. As soon as he activates it, his head starts shaking and he suddenly moves forward several steps at an extremely high speed. Seeing this speed, Jouk becomes very shocked. He then manages to move a very long distance with a total of 3 rapid movements, which makes him feel extremely happy. This is because he is slowly starting to understand how Corsac fights. As he moves a bit further ahead, he notices a goblin hiding in the bushes. The goblin also notices Jiuk. It becomes clear that the goblin was hiding from Corsac and looking for an opportunity to attack. Suddenly, the goblin attacks Jouke. Jouk becomes terrified and instinctively raises his hand to protect himself. A shield appears around his body, and he kicked it away toward Corsac. Corsac notices this immediately, and without breaking, his killing flow slices the goblin into 2 pieces with his dagger. After that, his attention shifts to Jayuk. He shouts Jayuk's name and runs toward him. Reaching Jayuk, Corsac asks if he is okay. Jayuk is so shocked by his own skills that he cannot respond. Corsac then starts checking Jayuk's entire body for injuries. While checking, Corsac even begins smelling under Jayuk's arms, which irritates Jock, and he tells him that he is completely fine. Korsak then becomes angry at Jayuk and scolds him, saying that he has told summoner Bongjok many times to stay safe, yet he never listens. Seeing Korsak's anger, Jok starts apologizing to him. Over those 15 days, Bongju had accumulated over 11 million won in magic stones. Back in the present, the administration sent a luxury limousine to pick him up. He arrived at the exclusive player shop, registered his handprint for future access, and sold his stones. The total came to over 11 million won, which he could use immediately. With a 50% discount the director had secretly arranged, Bongju bought a 2 million won mace and 3 million won boots. He realized he'd received special treatment and felt overwhelmed by the attention. Back home, he tested his new equipment and felt satisfied his defense was now complete. The next day, Jaeok summons Korsak. Korsak once again salutes and asks whether they should continue the 15th floor mission. Jaeok replies that he now wants to move on to the 16th floor because he has obtained everything he needed. He also adds that today, another guest will be joining them on the 16th floor. Hearing this, Korsak becomes very pleased. At that moment, Juk performs a random summon for the first time in a long while. As the summon activates, an intense light and a giant figure began emerging. A large energy blast destroyed part of his ceiling, making him worry about rent. A huge muscular hand appeared, followed by a giant footstep that cracked the floor. Finally, a massive tattooed man with red eyes emerged, appearing like a monster. Korsak immediately charged forward, delivering a flying kick to the newcomer's face while yelling complaints. The giant said the blow just tickled. Angrily, Korsak drew his daggers, but Bongju desperately yelled for them to stop before his entire apartment was destroyed. The protagonist asked to speak with the new servant. Korsak explained the giant was a famous idiot in the business. The barbarian tried to recite the 3 principles, but got them all mixed up and forgot the 3rd entirely. Checking the status, Bongju saw the new servant was just ranked the lowest possible. The giant couldn't remember anything, not even his own name. Bongju checked the detailed information and was pulled into a vision of the barbarian's memories, a pure soul admiring butterflies, fighting wolves like they were puppies, meeting a suspicious man named Aras, being tricked into serving as a human shield against the Hydra, his body dissolving as he fought to protect companions who betrayed him. Moved by the injustice, Bongju welcomed the giant and decided to give him a name, Gobang. He promised to make him happy and asked if Gobang trusted him. With the giant's positive answer, Bongju announced they were now a team of 3. Korsak agreed to train the barbarian, and they prepared to enter floor 16. The mission was to defeat 30 scout goblins who used poison darts and ambush tactics. Korsak gave instructions for his master to stay back. Suddenly, poison darts flew toward Bongju's head, but Korsak intercepted them. Dozens of goblins jumped from trees in an ambush, and Bongju ordered Gobang to get in front as a shield. With glowing eyes, Gobang prepared to jump. He leaped high into the air and came down like a meteor of light, smashing the ground with incredible impact that sent all the goblins flying. Even Korsak was caught in the blast. The remaining monsters tried attacking Gobang with countless darts, but he said they just tickled before charging to finish them all. Back home, they celebrated with fried chicken. Gobang called it kitchen instead of chicken, which annoyed Korsak, but the giant said his master was a good person, leaving Bongju speechless. Jaeok responded that, compared to the effort Gobang had put in today, chicken meant nothing. He also added that if anything were to happen to him, he would be relying entirely on Gobang. Just then, Kasak kicked Gobang's face from over to force him to correct his pronunciation again, startling Jaeok. Jaeok snapped at Kasak, questioning how he could bully someone who was eating so peacefully. Kasak immediately apologized. On floor 17, Bongju felt his inner wild stallion awakening and thought he could start fighting. His companions warned him that floor 20 was when players got overconfident. The mission was to defeat 30 goblin warriors, and they appeared in a large horde. Bongju remembered the strategic guide, suggested retreating and luring them in small groups, but with Gobang, he didn't need complicated tactics. He just pointed forward and told the giant to charge with everything. Gobang let out a roar and ran fearlessly toward the goblin shield wall, breaking through their defense with ease. As soon as the goblins noticed Gobang approaching, they instantly raised their spears and began launching them at him. The spears strike Gobang's body, but the impact feels no more than needles pricking his skin. The attacks have no real effect on him. Gobang immediately counterattacks the goblins, crushing them with brute force. A large number of goblins are eliminated simultaneously. Watching Gobang's sheer strength, Jaeok becomes deeply impressed. Together, they unleash continuous fire toward Gobang. Seeing this, Jaeok thinks to himself that it looks like thousands of rental bikes trying to fight AK-2 Black Panther tank. A battle that never stood a chance. Suddenly, the system notification bell rings on the screen. The system window displays that an S++ clear grade has been achieved on floor 17 of the Black Tower. The reward for the S++ clear is a platinum badge. Seeing the message, Jaeok feels extremely happy. He stands there, completely absorbed, enjoying Gobang's one-sided massacre of the goblins. During this moment, Kasak notices Jaeok from a distance. Kasak is also fighting goblins at the same time. Floor 18 featured goblin assassins with stealth abilities. Gobang attacked, but several goblins clung to his body, confusing him. Suddenly, Korsak's mocking laugh echoed through the forest. He appeared, boasting he'd show how to clear a floor with class. He activated Shadow Step and began defeating enemies with incredible speed and elegance. Bongju watched with a malicious smile, realizing the assassin had fallen into his trap. He deliberately stimulated Korsak's competitive spirit to make both servants work harder for more emblems and benefits. Holding his mace, Bongju felt around level 18 now. A powerful aura emanated from him as he unleashed his power, the release of the wild stallion. With his new horse face transformation, he remembered checking the guide's information beforehand. The goblin's stealth was low level, so he could detect them. He used Shadow Step to sneak up on a goblin, but stumbled awkwardly and lost balance. Still off balance, he accidentally hit the goblin's head with his mace, defeating it. He tried hiding his nervousness, claiming everything went as planned, but another goblin jumped to attack from behind. Meanwhile, Korsak had 25 takedowns with only 3 enemies left. Gobang appeared with fists ready, using an area attack that finished the mission. The hero asked the brute to keep helping, but Korsak got annoyed. The assassin wondered where his master went during the fight. A flash of energy lit up the forest. Bongju dodged a goblin attack with impressive speed, relieved his energy shield, saved him. On the ground, he saw another enemy advancing. His senses seemed sharper, perhaps from adrenaline. The goblin's movements appeared in slow motion. With glowing eyes, Bongju used a red energy attack and destroyed both monsters at once. The system rewarded him with S+ rank. Korsak ran toward him, and Bongju smiled, realizing he'd landed the final blow. The assassin knelt in despair that his master had stolen the finishing kill. At the administration, agents were shocked by the Floor 18 record. The news spread, and the entire nation became curious about the mysterious player's identity. Back in his room, Korsak sighed dramatically. Bongju asked what was wrong, and the assassin explained that his master was awakening his talent frighteningly fast. He recalled the perfect move Bongju had used. Even Korsak would have trouble copying it. He feared his master would become overconfident and endanger himself. Bongju tried calming him, promising not to do anything dangerous. Though suspicious, Korsak eventually agreed. But seeing Bongju's suspicious smile, the assassin fell into total despair, sensing huge trouble ahead. Gobang held the thrashing servant, calling him an idiot for grumbling. Angrily, Korsak punched the giant, who fell backward and knocked over the refrigerator. Bongju panicked about his destroyed refrigerator and spilled kimchi from his mother. He dismissed both servants immediately, heartbroken about the loss. To clear his head, he decided to visit his parents the next day. The following morning, Bongju climbed the stairs to his family's apartment. His sick father was in bed, and his mother scolded him for not visiting more often. His brother had gone to buy tofu. A delicious stew was prepared for lunch. When Bongju mentioned awakening would be good, his father and brother burst out laughing, saying he was too much of a coward for the tower. His mother asked about his job. He said it was his day off, but had actually quit. She noticed the lie, but said she trusted her son, warning him never to use private loans again. She explained she'd been fired for standing up to a difficult customer. Bongju remembered his father passionately declaring love for his mother in the past, a family trait of being non-confrontational that he and his brother inherited. As he left, his brother handed him an envelope with money for their parents. Bongju thought the boy was embarrassed about the college money he'd paid, but his brother actually just wanted his share of allowance. Annoyed, Bongju transferred 500,000 won to the freeloader. Shortly after, Bongju appeared at the Awakened Administration office. Seeing his family had made him more determined. He went to the player shop without calling ahead, wanting to avoid the agents. A saleswoman showed him a super shiny golden shield for 100 million won, which shocked him. The store was crowded this time. She then showed him an adamantite self-repair shield for 40 million won that matched his mace. He bought it and felt relieved. Ready to leave, a man approached and introduced himself as Choi Hosik, a player on the 30th floor. He offered to help with tips, being very outgoing and kind. After he left, Bongju felt uncomfortable with the interaction and envious of other players' social skills. Back home, Bongju looked at his status level 19 now. He decided he needed to reach an agreement with Korsak about safety before continuing. The assassin was summoned and seemed sick from something. Bongju showed off his new shield, and Korsak complained he was starting to enjoy fighting. The servant asked him not to charge forward. Bongju agreed with a suspicious smile, even promising to sacrifice his servants to escape if things got rough. Korsak agreed, but when it was time to go, he smelled something horrible and felt nauseous. Bongju offered dumplings as a gift, and Korsak happily accepted. While eating, Bongju asked if the assassin had hard feelings. He denied it with his mouth full. Suddenly, Korsak warned that someone outside had strong intent to harm. Someone knocked, and Bongju told Korsak to hide while activating his energy shield. The door's peephole was destroyed by a strange device. An armed man with a pistol opened the door and greeted Bongju sinisterly. The young man was completely paralyzed with fear. He recognized the intruder as the guy from the player shop earlier. The aggressor threatened him to open his inventory before his head became a sieve. He pressed the weapon against Bongju's forehead. "Even so," he yelled, thinking Bongju was weak. Suddenly, Korsak appeared behind him with a gleaming dagger. With a swift blow, the servant knocked out the thug, who fell unconscious. Bongju was speechless. Very excited, he praised Korsak, who got flustered. He was relieved his servant only stunned rather than eliminated the intruder. Bongju realized this was an item broker criminals who attack players outside the tower where they were vulnerable. He remembered the agent explaining that elite teams offered personal protection. If not for his summoning ability, he would surely be done for. He told Korsak to leave the thug for police. At the administration, the director was furious, learning the protagonist went to the shop again. The team leader informed him about the hand shield purchase, and they speculated he was a close combat player. The agent decided to give armor as a gift, but received a call from the police's player task force. Upon hearing the news, the team leader was completely shocked and speechless. He ran out to get to the scene. At the house, police arrested the intruder, who played the victim, and accused Bongju of abducting him. The officer decided to take them both in. Bongju despaired, imagining himself in a guide for failures in prison. But the team leader arrived, just in time, and stopped the officers. The intruder recognized the agent and tried playing victim, but Jang hit him with a powerful punch, telling him to stop the lies. The criminal fell with a bleeding nose. The agent accused him of trying to harm a player and revoked his registration on the spot. He warned that intelligence services would handle him. Angrily, he doubted any lawyer would take such a case. With the thug taken away, Jang asked if Bongju was hurt with a frightening expression. The protagonist was scared by his look, but the agent was just concerned. Jang bowed and apologized, promising this wouldn't happen again. He realized he couldn't postpone protection any longer. The next day, Bongju told Korsak the thug was arrested. The assassin wanted to know the detention center's location, but Bongju forbade him from going. Shortly after, he summoned Gobang, who was overjoyed to receive 5 stars for the first time. The trio entered floor 19 to defeat 30 goblin shamans. The enemies weren't that strong, using only weak curses and fire arrows. Gobang charged forward while shamans prepared dark attacks. The giant took a deep breath and used a special ability, unleashing a sonic shockwave that shattered the shaman's magic. Bongju was impressed his servant nullified curses with a barbaric method. Korsak flew toward Gobang with a plan. He told the giant they needed to clear the floor quickly, and the brute agreed. The servant duo charged forward together, with the slender one using his dagger while the big one used brute force. Bongju grabbed his mace and shield to join, but the mission was already complete. He was surprised by the speed Korsak had finished quickly to leave him out. The next day, the trio entered floor 20, known to be very difficult. Korsak warned the place was dangerous because all types of goblins appeared there. Gobang advised his master to wait in a safe place. The mission was to defeat 100 goblins and 1 hobgoblin. The hero realized he'd be left out. Bongju ordered the giant to draw enemy attention so he could attack. Several goblin shamans and scouts suddenly appeared, ready for battle. Goblin warriors and assassins also prepared. The assassins used stealth and hid in the forest for ambush. Seeing enemies move, Korsak refused to stand still waiting. The dynamic duo started running through the forest at high speed, leaving only a trail of blue light. At that moment, Gobang got a fright when he realized someone was jumping on him with an intense blue glow. Bongju appeared flying through the air with a determined look, while a powerful purple aura enveloped his entire body. But Korsak panicked completely and started screaming desperately when he saw the madness his master was doing. The young man jumped so high that he looked like a rocket dodging goblin arrows while the giant watched everything from below. The wild stallion had been fully unleashed. Whether Bongju's newfound confidence would lead to triumph or disaster, only the next moments would tell. But one thing was certain. The timid young man, who'd been too afraid to even look at a larva, had transformed into something far more dangerous. A summoner who believed he was invincible.